Hi everyone, this is Presley Cromer doing a peer review for Taylor Nevin. And I just want to jump right in here, going with the first point here. Did the artist understand the project? And I think there was a decent understanding. We do see street level photos, ground level photos being taken. Some of them display people, but most of them are inside, so we see more of this store aesthetic. We see the aisles, the shelves, the displays. And so moving from there, I want to talk about the principles and elements of design used. And I think that the principles that are emphasized in these pieces were pretty effective. We do see a lot of contrast in these photos. We have images where there's stark blacks in the background with bright whites to accentuate them. We see a few gray tones, not many. Again, dark blacks, a few grays, lots of whites, which I think is great, but personally I would have liked to see some more of the gray tones because I feel as though they could have gave a little bit more detail to the images. So moving from there, I also see a lot of emphasis on line as the images are in a store. You see lots of aisles, lots of shelves, lots of displays that have grid-like patterns to them. And so moving from there, I want to talk about, the story behind this, or the story being conveyed by this photography. And truthfully, I don't see much of one. I get a little bit of a gist of what you may have been aiming at. I feel like you may have been trying to demonstrate what an artist sees whenever they go into a store and that mindset behind it. And so the reason I say this is because as an artist, for me, I know whenever I go into a store, I never go straight for what I'm looking for. I often go, through all the aisles. I look at all the displays. I look at things that normally I wouldn't have any intention in buying. So I do like that, but I feel like to tell the story a little more, I would have included more images like these, where you have people looking at items within the store, because those pictures do tell that story of, this is how an artist thinks, or does show that the artists, when we go in stores, we're often in deep set mindsets and how we can use things for pieces that we work on. So moving on from there, I want to talk about the strongest image in this portfolio. And I think it's this one right here of the woman with what is presumably her child looking at this display of, arts and activities books. And what I like about this piece is not only the elements and principles of design that stand out with the contrast, and you have the grays and the whites here, and the use of line, the, the golden rule, or the rule of thirds, in which you have, empty space up here, but all of this is kind of taken up. But I like it because it does tell a story. To me, whenever I see this image, I think, oh, this is, a mother who's very supportive of her child's love for art. And I think that telling stories like that are important, especially, because the child is so young. I think it's important to support their interests, I guess. So that's, I guess, why I like that image so much, is because it does tell that story. But moving from there, we have the weakest photo, which I think is obviously these pictures of the ceilings and a few boxes. I just don't think that there was much thought put into them. I don't really see how they connect to the story being told here. And so finally, I want to talk about what I think you can improve on for the final. I definitely think that you should consider visiting more places than one art store to take images at, or to take pictures at. Maybe consider going to a gallery, or if there's a festival, go there, because you can get a lot more stories and perspectives while still pertaining to your subject. Aside from that, I know that the assignment does say, think about contrast and black and white photos, but because you are dealing with art here, I think you should consider adding a little color into it, because art is not always black and white. Art does usually have a lot of color, a lot of depth to it, and I think that by adding a little bit of color, especially, you know, if you have things like this, adding some color would just make the image pop and would tell a bit more of a story, make it feel more fun. Like I would like to see with a project portraying an art store or art in itself. So that's all of the feedback I have for you. I think that overall this was a pretty good portfolio put together, and I look forward to seeing more work from you in the future. Bye.